Nothing in this podcast is intended as investment advice, and the people in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy any investment based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research. The Sunday Roast presents 12 Stocks for the 12 Days of Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Hello and welcome to the 12 Stocks for the 12 Days of Christmas. Today we're joined by Colin Bird, Executive Chairman of African Pioneer. How are you today, Colin?
I'm good, thank you. Very good, thank you. I hope you two are well as well.
Yeah, you're already enjoying Christmas so far?
Yeah, it's nice to have a break, and this time I'm having a break in the semi-sun in Portugal. So yes, I'm very much enjoying Christmas.
Excellent. So, I mean, let's talk African Pioneer. I mean, it's been obviously an eventful year. You've obviously listed on the main market back in, was it sort of July time? And there's been a couple of very good announcements. Firstly, the revised arrangement for exploration and potential sale of the Kalahari Copper Belt licenses in Botswana. Do you want to talk us through what you feel you've achieved this year so far?
Well, thanks for that. African Pioneer is quite a unique company. It's operating in Southern Africa. It's got the copper, gold, silver theme, but primarily copper. It's got Sandfire as its partner. Sandfire owns 15% of the stock. And Sandfire is that very aggressive and successful Australian company who made good money and returned to the shareholders good dividends. And only recently announced that they bought the Spanish copper producer for some $1.85 billion. So they're aggressive, they're good, they're capable, and they like what we're doing. And of course, they like Southern Africa. So they've taken an interest in us. So why have they taken us interested? Well, we've got the huge assets in Zambia. That's in the northwest. It's only 40 kilometers or thereabouts at its nearest point to the Kalambila mine, which is now the Sentinel, and that's the mine that I sort of discovered. When I say I, it's a big we, but we as Kiwara Resources spent 19 months in and out and sold the thing for about $265 million. And now it's one of the world's biggest mines. So very good ground in there. And it's interesting ground. It almost resembles the material the other side in the DRC. It's we very strong on cobalt as well as copper, so we really look forward to that. Sandfire, of course, the way the 15% interest came about was them taking a stake in our Kalahari copper exploration projects. They put $1 million into the company, and they are spending $1 million in the ground. So that's good progress. That starts early in the new year, and those projects are very live and very close to their current developing mine. And then down in Namibia is the country which I think is going to rush to the forefront during 2022-23. We've got the Ongombo mine, which is in the a nice copper belt close to Otajasi. And we've got a mine which we hope to bring into production during the course of the new year. What have we done since we floated African Pioneer? Well, we've reworked the resource, and just before Christmas, we announced that we've increased the tonnage and put quite a bit of tonnage in the measured and indicated category. We've done a study, base case scoping study, where we turned up with very nice figures, which suggest a 27.7% IRR and a payback of about 2.5 years, at a capital investment of $39 million. Well, I think we all know on this meeting that consultants, just about everything has to be totally conservative. So there'll be a stack of change out of $39 million, but the copper is the same, the production will be the same. So I suspect the IRRs will be very much higher than what you see in there. Net present values will be better. And I think we'll be producing between 7,000 and 8,000 tons of contained copper per annum. Nice operation. and I've done a lot of talking in my time about the day of the small miner. And this is the company's African Pioneer will be the first in our basket there, which will in actual fact be bringing a mine on stream. Lots of interest in financing us in quite novel ways, some in quite conventional ways. We've submitted the mining license application. We've got a good, strong local team. And we're going to redo the metallurgical test work and redo it. Why are we redoing it? Because, gold copper was a nuisance in the old days when some of this was done. And you can now sell a gold copper concentrate and get paid well for the gold. But equally, if the gold is free milling and you could actually get it out there before it goes into circuit, i.e. it's not attached to the chalcopyrite, then differentially you'll probably gain by extracting the gold out in its own rights. So we need to do some metallurgical test work on that. And then nearby, we've got a small deposit which nobody has taken much notice of, and it intrigues me. It really intrigues me because the grades are higher. It's thinner, but the grades are higher, and I think there's a potential there for an open pit. And what a joy if you've got maybe 2 years of open pit whilst you develop the underground. But that's on my wish list at the moment. And so that's us joining the mining league, if you like, hopefully in 2022, late 2022. We're drilling away at the Kalahari Desert, and there's a stack of interest. So when you think about copper, you think about gold, you think about silver, aren't we well positioned as African Pioneer with a market cap of next to nothing? So largely neglected, but I fully understand why, gents, because there's during the second half of 2021, a lot going off around the world. We were sort of mending our nets, ready to go fishing. We were sneaking out at night and doing a bit of fishing, and hence our license application. So now, what are we? We're in the traps, we're in the boat, and we're ready to go.
So, Colin, the 8,000 tons per year that you expect, what sort of timeline have we got on that? One, to prove it up, and two, to start mining it.
Well, prove it up. Well, we've done the proving up. It's there. We've done the economics. Does it work? We have to build a plant. It's not going to be a sophisticated plant. Not going to be a fancy plant. We've got good ideas on how that might look and what it might be, and ways of financing it. The underground is, quite frankly, you don't get to D without going through A, B, and C. So we've got to develop the portals. That's why I would like the nearby little deposit to be an open pit before I start. But the company would like to be getting some production by the end of the year and in full commercial production not long thereafter, and working between 8 and 10 years.
Because, you're talking about $75 million a year at full production, 7 to 8,000 tons a year. That's a serious amount of revenue. Even if you take 20% of that after all the costs, that's $15 million. That's like 3 times the current market cap. So why are people missing this? I said, why are people missing this?
Well, people are missing. Everybody promises to make a mine, and they're going to make a mine. It's tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Over promise under the delivery. So I guess the saying, show us the money, but mining applications in, rework studies, drilling to find out what contribution the small deposit nearby can make in terms of open cast. That's not talk. That's real. So we're moving towards that objective, and hopefully the market in next year, when everybody's settled down. This year's no exception, possibly a bit worse. You get to a certain amount of money fatigue, capital fatigue, investment fatigue around about this time of the year. Blast of COVID-19 uncertainty and all of those things. The market is pretty wary of all in the natural resource sector, small cap area. But I think they'll recognize it next year because it's such a compelling story. 3 legs, 3 countries.
Do you think that calendar is our friend in that respect? Like the reset of into the new year, maybe more money coming in from maybe the US investors who see some of these nano cap companies in the UK space who are very undervalued with some of their assets in, places like Africa and even in Europe as well. Do you think there will be a resurgence of some money coming back into the market?
We've always been reticent. 2008. It was just you were just beginning to recognise 25 years of underinvestment in the mining industry. The world got past 2008 and 2009, the aftermath, and didn't really start recovering in exploration terms till about 2015. Gentlemen, the supply problem in most of the metals we're talking about is serious, underestimated serious. It's not can we sustain our earnings, it's can we keep the lights on? Can we maintain this clean planet initiative unless we invest in mining? And I've said it before and I'll say it again. If we three were to have a successful borehole tomorrow in Chile, the gestation period for a new mine is 12 to 14 years. The producers, the people who want the copper, can't wait that long. That's why companies like I'm putting together, this company, African Pioneer, being a typical example, they're going to fill that space. They're going to be the small mines which provide the copper. Carers, people like Carers, they're going to be the companies what surprise tomorrow's copper. Big is beautiful, but I tell you what, small is going to be very beautiful 23, 24, 25, as the majors try to gear up with some of these projects in these non-established jurisdictions, which are going to need a stack of money and a stack of interaction with governments. So I know the day of the small miner is back. It's my slogan. But boy, is it back, and African Pioneers fixed to be there. Next year, I think we'll begin to see the recognition. Where's this copper coming from? Where's this lithium coming from? Where's this nickel coming from? And it doesn't matter which metal, even vanadium is another one. Because everybody talks about generation, but we forgot to talk about storage. When the light goes out, what good is your solar energy? When the wind stops. So you've got to be able to store energy, gentlemen. You've got to be able to store it. And so there's quite a few metals emerging now for storage. Zinc, manganese, vanadium. So it's going to be an exciting place for us juniors. It won't take off. I mean, it's not going to be a day and night where all of a sudden everybody wakes up on New Year's Day and goes running out to buy some copper stories. But, companies like the one we're talking about, African Pioneer, will almost be a call option to copper. So if you feel good about copper, you should feel good about African Pioneer. And to join the African Pioneer Club is not exactly a fortune, and it's a cheap club to join at the moment.
Yeah, just over 2p. It's looking very generous, considering I think your IPO is at 3.5p. It's like bargain territory, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's tear-jerking. That is, to think you put a company out at 3.5 and it's 2 in a situation where it's strongly suggested that copper could go to $12,000-$15,000. Who knows? It's quite tear-jerking. But
yeah, it is. But if you think about it, the copper, even at the current price, is going to. I mean, I used 10,000 on that previous calculation. 10,000 copper. It still blows the EBITDA that's going to be coming through African Pioneer in 2023 when this is all finalized, and this is only from one of your 3 projects. It's going to be like unbelievable compared to the market cap.
Yeah, that's right. And exactly, and that's why I'm so strong on copper in all my projects, that people just haven't got them, Phil, Kevin. They just haven't got these projects, and we've got the projects. And as I say, you're almost going to be a call option to copper. You're going to be a straight line. There's going to be such a strong correlation, I think, between companies who are real, companies who are finding big resources for 5-10 years out in the future, and companies which have got small. I mean, and this is African Pioneer, of course, because it's got when you look at it, it's got the big discovery potential in Zambia, really big discovery potential. So that's tomorrow's big mine, which the majors want. It's got potential to feed a mine that Sandfire are already building and committed to, and the ball mill was, I think, put in place a couple of weeks ago. And it's got its own little mine down in Namibia.
Yeah.
Again, what a nice balance, If you like copper, if you like the copper story, you're investing in three legs of the copper story. If you're investing in African Pioneer.
So was it 4 out of the 8 licenses that were optioned across to Sandfire, and the other 4 obviously retained? How long do you think it is going to be before, if they're next door, and they are obviously, because they are pretty much contiguous with the assets that African Pioneer holds, do you think that there's a period in time when maybe they might wake up and go, actually, we're going to take 4 of those, or even take 8 of those licenses?
Well, they it's the option. They can't. I always try and keep some optionality for ourselves. They've got 15% of the company. Big discovery would be very helpful for somebody like Sandfire, and they are very ambitious as well for Namibia. Whether or not they'd want to do a small mining thing, I do not know. But I do know that if anywhere is underexplored, it's Namibia, and the potential is great. So, no, what I like about the company is its balance. It's bringing its own production in. It's hopefully providing feed for a Sandfire operation, which has been developed, and it has the potential for discovery up in the northwest of Zambia. So really, like I say, it's got different situations working for it at different stages in their own evolution, and each one is a company maker. Each one is a company maker. You look at market cap, and if we were just left with one of them, we'd still be pretty undervalued. So it's a good story, gentlemen. It's a good story evolving. It's as I say, we've spent post IPO mending our nets, but we're off fishing next year.
Yeah, excellent. Sounds like progress is really coming along. So let's move on to the Christmas theme now. You mentioned you're in Portugal. Obviously weather's probably very different to certainly the UK. What is a traditional Christmas dinner in the Bird household, in terms of, are you doing something? I mean, obviously the Portuguese love a cod, a bacalhau at this time of year, but are you going to keep to a traditional British English dinner there, turkey and the trimmings?
What I try to do first of all is run away from the sun. I've tried it a few times at Christmas, and it never feels like Christmas to me. So it's cold enough here to be to have that crisp feeling, which I like. There's a lot of British people there and a lot of Irish people there, so it's a bit of a fun place where I am, and so I keep it as traditional as I possibly can. The main battle being that Christmas lunch. It was always Christmas lunch here. The tendency is to have the main meal on Christmas Eve, but I think COVID-19 is going to be a play with for visitors that we're having, and so their expectations are, I think, a Christmas Eve dinner, but whether they even make it or not, I don't know. If they don't make it, it'll certainly be Christmas Day, and it'll be turkey, and it'll be stuffing, and it'll be that gravy, which everybody looks and turns the nose up when you're boiling up the giblets. But you've got to boil up the giblets. You really have.
Where all the flavour is, isn't it?
That's right, and that's me. And bang some sherry in it, and bang some red wine in it, whatever you bang into it. And it's. I actually, I enjoy cooking one as well as eating one. So it's a real.
You're the one with the apron on in the kitchen on Christmas morning, then?
Oh yeah, I mean, to me, it's a massive challenge cooking a turkey, and so much pleasure if you get it right, and it's a bit embarrassing if you get it wrong. Of course, I got it wrong once at a South African Christmas. I decided I would barbecue a turkey, and if ever you want a disaster. If you wanted a disaster, try that. Absolutely dry as a bone, and but everybody
burnt on the outside, raw on the inside, no doubt.
That's about the size of it. You couldn't cut through the bloody thing; it was so tough. And I blame the turkey. Of course, it weren't my fault.
Yeah, for sure, it wasn't your fault. Very good. The first question is actually, what is the best Christmas present you've ever received?
What is the best one I've ever received?
Yeah,
that's a good question. As I say, I haven't said, but I've said it now, is that I'm a great giver, not a receiver. And so nobody ever buys me nice Christmas presents because now I don't want them, and I'm quite embarrassed to receive them. So my daughter, for instance, will buy me a couple of bars of soap. You know, I love those sort of soaps that you get in Lush. A good bottle of aftershave, and so really, I've never received anything other than I wanted in terms of kind of little luxuries that, you know, I'm a little bit of a Scrooge, so I wouldn't go out and buy a nice soap. So we would pay eight euros or 10 quid for a bar of soap. So I'd never buy one myself. So I'm all happy when someone buys me one, and I certainly wouldn't pay 70 quid for a bottle of aftershave. So I'm always happy when anybody buys me one. So the question is that I'm always happy, and it shows a very nice feeling for you when somebody buys you something. But I've always counselled forever, please don't buy me anything posh. I don't want it. So it's always been soap and Hugo Boss, and I'm off Hugo Boss now.
I'll change the question then. What's the best Christmas present you've ever bought somebody else?
What's the best Christmas present? Oh, my partner, I bought once a very, very nice ring. I think that was probably the most extravagant one I've bought, and the nicest. It was well picked, and it was a nice piece of jewelry. So I think that's probably my limit there.
Okay, and the next question then is, if money was no object, and it doesn't have to be about money, but basically you have no boundaries, what would you like to receive for Christmas?
Well, I'm older now. I've been in the game a long time. As you say, it's not all about money. You get to a stage where it's not about money. You can only eat one steak a day. You can only have one decent bottle of red wine, and I've stopped drinking red wine. So really, some of the biggest joys in my life has been discovery, even though I'm not a geologist. And some of the biggest disappointments in my life is anticipating discovery of not getting it. I remember down in Madagascar, everybody was convinced, every geologist, geophysicist was convinced that the project we got was going to be a cracker, and they're fighting to do geophysics. And it turned out to be banded ironstone and a dud. So I've had my highs and I've had my lows. So a big Christmas present now, I think, in extract, of course, we've got 2 porphyries, so another porphyry won't be it. So I think it would be a discovery in another discovery in one of our copper projects. The sheer joy of saying, well, I found it. We found it. We got this little entity together. We raised some money for it. We had a vision. We all put our 5 bob in and decided what we were going to do, and it's worked. And Kevin, Phil, there's not much substitute for discovery, because what are you doing? You're second guessing nature, and it's incredible. It's incredible to know that you're walking in this field, and down there, 10 meters, 50 meters, 100 meters is tomorrow's copper. So I'd love several major discoveries. And I'm not really bothered about the money, what comes with them. Of course, everybody likes their material things, and I'm no different. But I would love the pleasure of discovery in one or more of the jurisdictions and projects that I'm involved in. And that's not
a good answer.
It's a Christmas present, and it's an ongoing present.
Yeah, and it's nice because we have to understand that what we achieve or what we leave, because hopefully these discoveries of mines will be here long after you've passed away, and that's not a criticism of any of us. But I mean, we were talking with one of the guys today about a coal discovery with met coal, and it could be 200 years mine length, so it'll be there long after we've all gone.
That's right. And as I say, it's difficult to describe, and you can't describe it, and you can only experience it when you've done it. But there is such an absolute pleasure in being part of a team that basically opens up the earth and finds the mine. That's unique. I mean, most geologists will spend a career and never never make the discovery. Some mining engineers will never be part of a discovery. And I've been fortunate enough on a number of occasions to create value, to create jobs, and to make discoveries. And if God's kind enough to keep me breathing, I hope to continue doing it for some time, certainly during next year, hopefully, and bring home, what is it? Bring home the bacon to the shareholders.
Bring home the bacon, is right.
Colin Bird, wishing you a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much indeed, and I wish you guys the same, of course. And I wish you a very, very happy New Year. You brought a new concept into the marketplace. I'm sure people enjoy listening to you. It's done in the right environment, and all of us in this space, I think, share that sort of adventure and pioneering that keeps mankind in its future metals. So long may it last, and long may you guys enjoy what you're doing, and Happy New Year for the short term.
Yep. Thank you, Colin, and Merry Christmas to you.
Thanks a lot. All the very best.
This podcast was brought to you by Roast PR Limited. If you would like to appear on a future episode of The Sunday Roast, please email admin@thesundayroast.net.